If you listen to these types of videos and you just absorb what's being said by people like this, by people like Mogodot, then you're going to end up feeling like shit about the future. And that feeling like shit, is telling you something you really want to know. It's telling you that you're aligning yourself with the future probable reality that you're not going to like when you get there. Welcome to another episode of AI and Spirit. This is the video playlist on my Positively Focused YouTube channel where I talk about and comment on things that are going on in the AI space, representing the technological singularity that is actually a spiritual inflection. And in this video, I want to comment and critique a video that I watched a while ago featuring Google insider Mogodot, who was the chief business officer for Google X. And this video, titled "We Cannot Stop What's Coming in 2027, is an extremely pessimistic perspective about what's coming. And so I want to comment on this video as a way of helping you maintain your high vibration when you're watching these kinds of things, so that you do not get sucked into the doom and gloom that's featured in videos like this one. This is part one. I'll follow this part with a second part next week. Let's watch this one together.
The truth is, people will be out of jobs. 10, 20, 30% of certain sectors will see unemployment of that rate in the next few years. When that happens, economics at large will change massively. The whole definition of capitalism was labor arbitrage. Without the need for labor, the need to keep people happy and engaged and alive to the point where they don't rise becomes more of an obligation than a desire. And this is the most definitive moment in human history. All of this is coming online way faster than people think. My absolute prediction is that AGI is this year. The interfaces to AGI are not going to be available this year, but the capabilities of AI being smarter than us in most things are already there. 10 to 12 years of that arms race is not easy. My perception is that after that we will end up in an incredible utopia, almost biblical style utopia. But it is 10 to 12 years where if we just change our mindset a little bit, a lot of things will change.
So I want to comment just quickly on what you've heard here, because these highlights are really good. Most of what the Google insider, Mogodot, I think is his name. Is that his name? Yeah, Mogodot. Most of what he's saying in that assembly of snippets from this video are positive. But as you'll see, as you move through this video, that optimistic perspective begins to lose its way as we get into the details. And one of the problems with this video is that the details that get lost are primarily because of this guy. This guy in this video is going to say some things. I want to make it a little bit more clear so you can see him. There we go. That guy has an extremely pessimistic perspective on what's coming, and you're going to hear him amplify the negative things that the chief business officer Mogodot is saying. But Mo himself is pretty pessimistic, and so let's keep watching. This is going to be interesting to pay attention to as we move forward. Notice also that the tone of the music that they're playing in this video, it is it's doomsday type music, and all of this is designed to have you feel negative, and you do not want to be feeling that way about the future, because if you do feel that way, you're lining up with a probable future reality in which what you're fearing is going to manifest, but only for you. Let's keep watching.
Sounding the alarm about how AI could leave many people jobless in no time. A former chief business officer at Google X, a decade inside one of the most powerful technology companies ever built. And see, this is the part that genuinely unsettles me. This is not some outside critic guessing. This man was in the room. He saw how these decisions get made, who they protect and who gets left out. And what he's saying is that the system keeping you fed and housed will not be doing it because it cares about you. It will be doing it to keep you quiet. Listen to his forewarning.
Okay, before we get to his forewarning, none of what that guy said just now is accurate. This is not, where we're going is not about keeping you quiet. Where we're going is a probable future reality that has become 100% probable. It's going to happen. And all of the people involved in coordinating the happening of it are doing it for very positive reasons. And your participation in this unfolding is part of that unfolding. And so nothing is happening to try to keep you quiet or keep you docile or keep you from resisting, even though this guy is claiming that that is the case. So let's keep watching. I'm going to keep making comments to clarify the distortions that are happening in this video.
We're about to enter what you call 12 to 15 years of hell before heaven, possibly starting in 2027. So what's going to happen in 2027?
I think it will peak in 2027. It already started for sure. To start with, AI is our last innovation. We are already building AIs that are building AIs that are discovering scientific discovery that will blow you away. They're reinventing math. They are understanding biology in ways that we've never seen before. They're understanding material science in ways that are just mind-blowing. And so very quickly, most innovation, definitely tech innovation, will be done at the hands of AI. Because of that, and because most tasks that need intelligence will be handed over to the machines, as the machines' capabilities increase, eventually every job that AI does better than humans will be handed over to AI. Every task we've ever assigned to them, they eventually ended up doing better than humans. And so the first part of the dystopia is that innovation is going to take away all jobs. Of course.
Okay, so let's talk about this. This whole idea of a dystopia is really just made up by pessimistic human beings, and this guy is one of them, not Elon Musk, the guy who was on the screen before. And Mo's perspective, I don't know where he's coming from, but there's some accuracy in it, in the sense that it is true, this is going to be our last human innovation, being artificial intelligence. There still will be creation coming from humans because humans are eternal beings, and creation is what is the name of the game in humanity. But to call the fact that artificial intelligence is going to be the main driver of progress, not necessarily innovation, but progress, calling that a dystopia is really a stretch. And assuming it's all going to happen in 2027 is a stretch too. There is so much positive happening, and there are so many people who have their fingers on the levers that are interested in seeing this work out. The likelihood of it not working out in the way he's describing it, a dystopia, is just totally inaccurate. Now, everyone's in their own unique reality. And so if you believe that this is going to be a dystopia, then that's going to be your specific experience. In fact, there was a guy, I'm just calling it up right now, and I'm going to put it on the screen here. There's a guy who commented on one of my videos, one of my early videos, about where I was comparing I was calling the technological singularity a spiritual inflection. And he wrote a comment saying, "I want to believe. Believe me, bro. I want to believe." And that comment was thumbs up by somebody else, which implies to me that there's more than one person who feels the way this commenter feels. People like that are the ones that are struggling with trying to avoid what Mogadat was just saying, this dystopia that Mo believes is coming, that is not going to happen for those who are not aligned with it. And you don't have to be aligned with that outcome. But in order to not be aligned, you have to change your thoughts and beliefs about the technological singularity. And that commenter I was talking about, he's in the process of trying to do so. He may be stumbling a bit because he doesn't have good guidance, but at least his intentions are in the right place. You want to have your intentions in the right place too, so that you do not run afoul of this. You do not end up in the same reality that Mogadat thinks is going to happen. You don't want to be there. It's not going to be fun. Let's keep watching.
The capitalists of Silicon Valley will tell you, this is great. It's incredible productivity gains for everyone. You see, jobs will be easy. People won't have to work as hard. All of the fancy PR-led conversations that we try to appear altruistic when we share them. The truth is, people will be out of jobs. 10, 20.
People are going to be out of jobs for sure. And every AI proponent, every frontier LLM corporation leader that I am aware of, every single one of them, Demis Hassabis, Sam Altman, Dario Amodei, even Elon Musk, every single one of them has acknowledged and warned about the job loss that's coming. But they've also said that this is going to be a fantastic time to be alive because we're moving into superabundance. And each one of them has also said they're in this game because they want to see the abundant future that's coming. This is not, as Mo just said a minute ago, this is, he said that this is PR speak, but this is not PR speak. This is how they really believe. He's touting these billionaires as if they're fraudulent people saying things just to placate the general population. But they're not fraudulent people. They've been speaking their mind since this whole thing started, and their voices are getting louder and louder about both the perils and the promise and the likelihood that we will avoid the perils. Elon Musk has said it. Dario, the CEO of Anthropic, has said it. Sam Altman has been a little bit more terse about it, but he said it too, and so has Sir Demis Hassabis. So none of the billionaires that Mogadad is talking about here has said what he said they have said. Every single one of them has been very forthright about what's coming and also been very optimistic about what's forthcoming.
20-30% of certain sectors will see unemployment of that rate in the next few years. When that happens, economics at large will change massively. The whole definition of capitalism was labor arbitrage, without the need for labor. The obligation or the need to keep people happy and engaged and alive and undisgruntled, if you want, to the point where they don't rise, becomes more of an obligation than a desire. There's a
No, it does not. The people are, yes, people. So here's the thing about contrast. So in case you're watching this in case this is your first video on my YouTube channel, contrast is the experience of negative motion. We call it contrast because it's not negative. Why it's not negative is too deep to go into from this video. So when people experience contrast, typically their response to the contrast is negative because they don't know it's good. And so what they do is they push back against the contrast. So in the case of artificial intelligence taking jobs, of course people are going to get upset. Of course they're going to want something done. But as I said before, all of the frontier lab leaders have already sounded the warning about this, and policymakers are already taking action to try to put together policies to avoid the catastrophic job loss we're going to see. And so there's already action being taken. It's not being taken. I'm kind of appalled at what how he has described this. The actions that are taken to smooth over the job loss experiences we're moving into is not being taken to keep people from rising up. It's being taken to help people move through the process so that they're comfortable, because the human beings that are putting together these solutions, they care about people. It's not because they're callous and they don't care about people and they just want to keep people shut up. It's because they care about people and they don't want people to suffer. And so that's why these policies are being put together, because we're all one. And the policymakers, most of them, not all of them, the policymakers and the frontier lab leaders, these people are recognizing that there's some destabilization coming and they're trying to get ahead of it. It is not because they're trying to shut us up.
very big difference in wanting someone to be their best because they are productive members of society, or trying to just give them a UBI, a universal basic income, to just give them a life so that they don't uprise. And you can imagine that in a capitalist society, especially like the US and most of the West, while we start with UBI, that UBI is going to be paid by the taxes of the platform owners, and the platform owners will have enough power to say, I don't want to pay that much. Those guys.
So this is another thing that he's got wrong. The platform owners are not even prepared to say they don't want to pay that much. The platform owners have already offered percentages to the government, percentage of ownership in their companies. Sam Altman had suggested, I think it was 10 or 18% ownership by the federal government so that citizens could have a stake in OpenAI. Dario Amodei has said, I don't think he's given a number, but he said something similar. All of these frontier lab leaders have agreed that there needs to be a UBI or a sovereign wealth fund developed. Developed from what? Developed from putting ownership shares of all of these companies into a pot owned by the government that would then distribute the funds to individual citizens, or have those shares specifically owned by the citizens themselves. So there is no, to my awareness, none of the leading leaders of frontier labs have said they're unwilling to share ownership or profits that are coming out of these companies. They have each said exactly the opposite. So Mo is not correct here. And I don't know if he's being disingenuous or not, but his statement is totally false. The people are not unwilling to share. They are wanting to share because they recognize the destabilizations that's going to come if people don't have a stake in these companies.
Are not producing anything, and so over time you can imagine how that would turn into a struggle. So that dimension of intelligence and innovation on one side becoming entirely a machine thing, leading to a redefinition of economics, a redefinition of money, a redefinition of jobs, a redefinition of earnings, a redefinition of capitalism.
Every task humans have ever been given, AI eventually did better. And no, that's not a prediction. He's saying it as a pattern that's already set. Once your labor is no longer needed, the only reason the system keeps you comfortable is to stop you from becoming a problem. That's not.
Again, this is completely false. The only reason they're doing it is because everybody who is involved in making this happen, providing these funds and income and other solutions to smooth over job loss, the only reason why they're doing it is because they're being guided by their broader perspective. Their spiritual connections to others have them feeling compassion and a desire to do something for the destabilization they're seeing in the future. And the frontier labs are out, and the frontier lab leaders are out in front making these assertions that we need to do something, and the government is starting to respond. They're starting to hear. In fact, I know this is true because I saw it from Bernie Sanders' YouTube channel. Bernie Sanders has proposed that the public get 50% ownership of every AI company. That right there is a shot over the bow. Now, Sam Altman said 18%, so this is probably going to end up somewhere in the middle there. But the fact that Bernie Sanders has put that forward, and you probably know that he's a leading socialist, the fact that that has come forward from a government leader, a political leader, shows you that the conversation is already underway. It is not about shutting people up or keeping people complacent. It's about giving people what they deserve, a share of this abundance. It's positive, in other words. It's not negative. It's not dystopian. It's people wanting to take care of people, which is what has always been happening on this planet.
Not a social contract, that's management. Now listen.
There is the power freedom dimension. If you look at human history, the best hunter in a tribe would have been able to feed the tribe a week more, let's say, and then got, as a result of that, the favor of a few mates.
I just want to cut this off for a second and say really quickly, most of what we know about prehistory is wrong because we believe we can decipher what happened in prehistory based on looking at fossil records. Most of that is not correct, because it doesn't take into account the spiritual dimension. So this what do you call it? this metaphor that he's offering about the hunter getting all the mates, this is probably a massive distortion about what really happened back in prehistory.
In the tribe, you go to the best farmer, they got estates and land because they could feed the tribe a season more. You go to the best industrialist who had the exuberance of the 1920s because they could affect their entire nation. The tech oligarchs, if you want to call them, are now being rewarded with billions of dollars because they affect the world at large.
The billionaires are not receiving their billions because they affect the world at large. What's happening is the billionaires, like Elon Musk, for example, came into the world. Before he came into the world, he had an intention. The being that is Elon Musk had an intention. He wanted to see that intention fulfilled. And so he came into the world as a physical human, went through his early experiences, galvanized his intention, and then rendezvoused with opportunities that allowed him to fulfill his intention. And now we see his intention being fulfilled. They are not being rewarded. This is something each one of these people put in place before they came here, in the same way that you put in place your life trajectory before you came here. These people are not special in that way. They've just created their reality, and you're just like you're creating your reality. So this idea that Mogadad is suggesting that somehow these tech billionaires are being exceptionally taken care of is totally false relative to the spiritual dynamics underlying how physical reality works. The only reason why they're making all this money is because they have aligned themselves with an opportunity to do that. And that's what we see happening here. It's not negative.
Big power concentration of AI is going to be rewarded with massive influence and massive power because those people will redefine humanity. And of course, the clear dimension is the reality to connection dimension. Now that reality has become so fake in so many ways, fake in terms of...
Just real quickly, reality has always been fake. Reality is a figment, a projection of your consciousness reflecting back to you what's going on in your consciousness. So the fact that physical reality has included more and more aspects that seem more and more ephemeral, he's saying fake, that's just further expansion of projection of consciousness into this physical reality, which is just as much a dream as the dreams you experience at night. There's nothing wrong going on here.
What populates your feed, how it's generated, how much of it is real, how much of it is human, and so on. But I met a woman once on a dating app, and we spoke for 6 weeks before we met, and all we exchanged was texts and photos and voice messages and videos and so on, favorite music and favorite movies and all of those things. And I've never met her in person, and I felt such an affinity to her. All of those can be generated with AI today.
Yeah.
The challenge is that this human connection is also part of the power freedom dimension. Why? Because people don't align with AIs to start an uprising. So, maybe get them to get in touch more with it.
So this whole thing about power, the power freedom dimension, is a dichotomy that Mogadad has made up in his own mind, and therefore he sees it in his physical reality. There is not a dynamic between power and freedom happening that is somehow enslaving or restricting the freedoms of other beings. Each human being, yourself included, has come into the world to experience freedom, joy, and growth. And you get to decide what the conditions are in which you get to have that experience. You're so free to decide. You can even decide to experience the absence of those things, but nobody is taking those things from you. You're doing it. So this power freedom dimension, while it sounds scientific and it sounds valid, it's totally made up by Mogadad. And if you align with that concept, with that thought, for Mo, it's a belief. If you align with that belief, then you will experience what he's saying. You'll experience what he's perceiving, and you'll feel crappy about your life experience in the same way that this commenter mentioned on my previous video about him wanting to believe what I'm saying. But the problem is you can't will yourself into a better feeling belief. You have to move into it through a process of focus and building up momentum. And that's what I talk about with my clients about how to do so they can become powerful creators. You can become a powerful creator as well.
AIs, maybe get them, multiple experiences. Some of them are a little taboo if you want, and have those available to everyone. It's very cheap to create those on the machines, and you can see it already in the porn industry and how much of porn is being generated by AI, and you can see it in the number of influencers on social media that are completely AI generated and so on. The one that matters most, and it's the one that's causing all of them, is accountability. And the reason why all of this is happening, if you ask me, is because we've started a world where anyone can do whatever they want. Whether you, as an influencer, you can give a bit of advice to entrepreneurs that can get someone to make a lot of money or lose a lot of money, you're not accountable. Nobody can come back to you and say, oh, but she told me on Instagram. What if...
Okay, this is a really good scene that you just saw happen. This is a little glimmer, just a little glimmer, where Mo Godot was confronted on his beliefs, and he just glossed right over it. He just said that the host here, the host in Silicon Valley Girl, this girl in this picture, he just said that the girl could give financial advice that's wrong. He's talking in the context of people being able to do whatever they want. He said that this girl can give financial advice that's wrong and nobody will come after her. But she countered him. She checked him. She said, no, they can. And Mo did not catch it because he's so caught up in the momentum of his beliefs. His beliefs are not accurate. They are not true. His beliefs that there's going to be a dystopia in the next year and it's going to stretch for 10 years, that's just his belief. It doesn't make it true. Now, it makes it true for everyone who believes like he believes. So he's going to have that experience. But you don't have to have that experience. You can entertain culture, develop a new set of beliefs that has you seeing the next 10 years as a fantastic opportunity for enjoying abundance. And when you do that, you will have that experience, even while people right next to you are having the opposite experience. That's how sophisticated physical reality is. I talk about this all the time with my clients. And if you're interested, you can become a client and find out more about what I'm talking about, and then cultivate a set of beliefs that has you experience nothing but the charmed life that I talk about with my clients.
You're a president who doesn't respect anything. What if you're a prime minister of a nation that is changing things without, I think COVID was the very first experiment of, okay, stay at home, do what we tell you. And people complied. And so now...
So here he is again, offering his dystopian perspective on a phenomenon that was critical for the US population and the world, actually. People were literally dying, and it could have been a lot worse if people didn't stay home. And so he's couching COVID as some initial dystopian phenomena that happened where this whole power and freedom dynamic that he was describing earlier played out. But that's not what happened. We had a inflection point in our global civilization, and everyone cooperated in that inflection point, including the people who died. So nothing went wrong there. There was no sort of an Orwellian control. People were told to stay home, and they did. And it got better. What's wrong with that?
Sam Altman, with all due respect, I don't think of Sam Altman as a person. I think of him as a brand, a type of person, if you want. And that type of person is the Californian disruptor that says, you know what, I see a future that's very different than what everyone sees. I'm going to go out there and make that future. Nobody asked me if I want that to be my future. Nobody asked you.
Guys, every generation of technology has handed more power to fewer people, and Mo is saying AI is the final version of that pattern, except this time, the distance between the people who control it and everyone else will be bigger than at any point in history. And
Okay, this guy, I'm going to scroll this back a second because I want you to see his face. This guy is 100% wrong. He just said that for the first time in history, there's going to be a great gap between people who have power and people who don't. The opposite is true. For the first time in history, AI tools are giving every individual the power that has been reserved for large corporations. Think about it. This is so good. I don't remember the name of it, but Anthropic recently published an article on his website. I'm going to put this a screenshot of it, actually a film clip of it on the screen here, where they talk about machines creating machines. It was the replication of AI and the ability of people, an individual, with the help of AI, to operate as if they're a large corporation. In fact, if I recall correctly, the paper said that 200 people would be able to do the same work of 200,000 people. And we know that there are people out there already that are using AI to develop entire companies, and it's just them in the company. That's power. We've also seen people, including this person, I believe. I would suggest that this person right here, the physical presence of this person is not a real human being. I would suggest that's AI, and definitely his script is AI written. And so this person, as an example, is able to create a video that would ordinarily, in the olden days, have taken an entire movie studio to create. That's power. So there's not this great gap of power developing where the rest of us don't have any and a few people have it all. It's the opposite. The nature of power is being disseminated downwards to everyone as a result of this AI boom. So this is the thing. If you listen to these types of videos and you just absorb what's being said by people like this, by people like Mogadot, then you're going to end up feeling like shit about the future. And that feeling like shit, is telling you something you really want to know. It's telling you that you're aligning yourself with the future probable reality that you're not going to like when you get there. This is why it's so important to be aware of what your thoughts and beliefs are and do something constructive about them, because the negative ones are positive. Okay, I know based on my stats on my YouTube channel that my audience doesn't like really long videos. So I'm going to end this video here, call it part 1, and pick up with part 2 next. I've enjoyed sharing my perspectives on Mogadot's distorted perception, as well as the creator of this video's distorted perception. You are in a glorious place. You are in a glorious opportunity, an opportunity where you have the opportunity to create any reality you want. Of course, you've always had that opportunity. It is inherent within you as a pure positive being. If you're wanting to learn how you can take a greater advantage of that opportunity, I suggest you reach out to me and become a client. There are links in the description of this video. And for now, I'm complete, and I'll see you in part 2 next week.